Hello everyone, my name is Sanjay, and once again I'm back with a new video. In this video we're going to discuss about Zscaler ZCC process-based application bypass. Okay, so far Zscaler was only supporting IP-based bypass, right? So you may have seen Teams traffic and Zoom predefined application, configuration in Zscaler portal and then bypasses for these applications, right? In the application profile and the application bypass configuration. Now, today we're going to discuss about the process-based bypass for these applications. So, what is process-based bypass? Process-based bypass means you bypassing application based on the process, right? And there are certain criteria you can use to do that bypasses, right? We're going to discuss these all criteria later on in this training. Unlike IP-based bypasses, you need IP, to bypass traffic from Zscaler tunnel for that particular application. For example, Zoom and Teams, and you also need the port details as well, right? Usually it's a IP and port, how you bypass IP-based applications, right? For the process, you only need the process, right? And then you have a certain criteria through which you can define that process, okay? The process-based bypass works on tunnel 1.2 and tunnel 2.0 as well. And this process-based bypass only works for the TCP and UDP traffic. Okay. Now, you know that what is the process-based bypass, right? You may be wondering, why do we need the process-based bypass? Okay. So what happens, right? When you do IP-based bypass, you need to know the IPs, okay, for that application. So for example, if you go in the application profile, you may have seen predefined applications, right? Let's say what do you call? Let's say here, which is called tunnel 2.0 configuration IP-based application bypass, and then you have two predefined applications so far. That's called Microsoft Teams and Zoom meeting, right? Now these two predefined application are IP-based bypass. And how do you know it? You go to the administration and the application bypass, and that's where you see these applications. So these are the IP-based predefined applications, and what IPs these application are using is basically configured here, right? So this is for the Microsoft Teams, and these are the applications IP and the port Microsoft Teams use to connect, right? And these are the IP Zscaler tunnel bypasses and do not forward over the Zscaler data center, right? And that's how it bypasses this traffic. So what do you need to know? You need to know the application IPs, right? And the ports as well, and of course the protocol it connects to. And the problem with that is that that may change, right? With the time, you may see that new IP addresses are added here, and maybe the old IP addresses are removed. Maybe the ports are changed, protocol is changed, or something, right? Based on the application, and that creates problem with your this particular IP-based bypass configuration. Okay, and that's the limitation, right? That's why the process-based bypass, where you could bypass the process or the that application based on the process, right? And you have a couple of options, how you can bypass. You have these criteria to define. So you can bypass based on the the path. So let's say the application is stored under /c program files, and then /abc xyz, and then the file name is program.exe, right? So you can bypass based on the certain path, right, where exactly that executable, right? It could be one process, right? Let's say application a dot process, and for that application to work, you may have a multiple processes, right, which needs to be run. So that also can be used. Okay. You can also bypass application based on the signature, the application hash. Okay. You can also bypass the application based on the certificate thumbprints of that application and the certificate signature of that application. So these are the predefined options, right? Or right, the signature executable part that something is mandatory, and we'll go on the configuration part, right? That what you need to configure, how you can, you can configure, what are the options. Okay, what is the minimum requirement to configure the process-based by application bypass? You need to have minimum ZCC version 3.4, right? And you need to, install the WPF driver in your machine. Basically, this driver will be installed when you enable this feature in the, in the application profile. But yeah, you need to allow ZCC to install that particular, right? By default, that's allowed, but in your system, you need to allow that. Okay. The next question comes in that how exactly this process-based bypass works, right? What is the process behind the process, right? So there are a couple of things involved in this process. First of all, the ZSA tunnel process. And if you have watched my previous videos, you may know, right? This GSA tunnel process is basically the process which forward user machine traffic to the Zscaler data center, right? This process is basically responsible for tunnel traffic forwarding, right? This also, through this process only the configuration download happens when the tunnel establishes, right? So it download the configuration from the mobile portal, for example, the app profile, configuration and whatever settings you have, the respective forwarding profile and all, right? That's something this GSA tunnel process is responsible for. Okay, these are the two drivers we have, right? So LWF driver, basically, this is a driver which is used there in the Windows system, and that driver forward traffic to GSA tunnel, and then it process that traffic, right? From the driver itself, the tunnel is, traffic is bypassed. For the process-based bypass, there is a new driver which is called Windows filtering platform driver, right? So what happens when you have configuration on a portal, GSA tunnel process download that configuration in your system, right? And whenever that particular process is opened, right? Let's say you have configured Microsoft Teams as a process to bypass, right? And let's say user has opened that Microsoft Team application. As soon as that process runs, that WPF drivers, track it, right? It understood that okay, new process started on the system. What it does, it checks on the ZSA tunnel process configuration, the bypass application bypass list, right? It has that ZSA tunnel process has that. It checks whether the process which is user started is that process in that list. Okay, if that process in that list, then it creates its own kind of a table where it says that okay, this needs to be bypassed based on based on the match, and the match we need to go in the configuration, and we can we'll understand that what all thing is there and what how it matches. Okay, once the configuration matches, it has created a bypass table, right? In its own table, right? In the driver table. Now what happens then this LWF driver, right? When traffic forwarding starts, it checks on the LWF driver table, right? Whether this traffic needs to be bypassed or needs to forward to the GSA tunnel process. So if this needs to be forwarded to the GSA tunnel process, then it forwards here, and if it's configured as a bypass in this table, then it directly forward this traffic to direct instead of the Zscaler tunnel, right? So that's how the behind the scene process works. Okay. Now for the configuration, we need to do configuration on two sides, right? One is on the application side, application profile, and other is the application profile, application bypass configuration. So for example, for the application bypass configuration, you go to the administration, right? And then you go to the application bypass option, and then you go to the process based bypass. I already have created one. You can add, if you want to, I mean, if you haven't created any, you can simply click on add application and you'll see the options. Okay. I'll reopen this app, I'll just open this, click on edit, and I'll let you know what, how you configure it. So first of all, you give it a name, okay, and then you give it a path. So for the path, there are a couple of options, right? What you can do, you can define explicit path for the particular process, right? So explicit path, I mean, is that from the C, let's say we want to bypass this, firefox.exe. So I can give it a path like this: C colon program files colon Mozilla Firefox colon firefox.exe. So in this case, it would only check for this path, right? It would match only this explicit path. When we use one asterisk, that would do one thing. It would skip one folder, right? So I can do one thing. Let's say this is a full path, C colon double slash or one slash whatever, right? One slash program files. I can just skip one folder, let's say Mozilla Firefox, and I can add it like this star, and I can add it. This would also match the path, right? Because we're skipping, there is a one folder which we're skipping, and then it would, skip that folder and it would check for the firefox.exe. Okay, that is also a match. The other option we have is called a double asterisk, right? In case of double asterisk, how it would match? In case of double asterisk, it would match, for example, C colon slash abc slash program files, right? Or xyz slash, and let's say then we have this program, right? This is the actual path. In case of path where we have two, path component, it would skip these and it would match, right? It could be two and more, right? So in that case, this would match the above path. Okay, this option. All right, that's the path. And path is the mandatory option you need to configure. If you do not configure a path, you cannot configure the application process based bypass. And you can only just configure a path, and if you do not configure any matching criteria or signature, that would still work. Okay, but path is something which you need to configure, and it is recommended that you configure other matching criteria which are available there, so then you have a control over that bypass. Okay, now what are the criteria you have a sha2 signature, you have a certificate signature, and then you have a certificate path. Now there is a combination of it, right? What you can do sha2 signature plus uh, okay, so you can do sha2 signature only, what we can see it here, and you can add three three application name and that application signature. You cannot add more than three, right? Now you have else you can do is that you can only use certificate signature, and again you can add three certificate signature here. Okay, and you can only use the certificate subject. Okay, and you can again add three certificate subject per application based process, right? Now the three options are there, right? One is called sha2 signature of the application, certificate signature, and the certificate subject. Other two option what you have is that you can do sha2 signature and the certificate signature, right? Again, you can add three application signature and three certificate thumbprint, right? The other option you have is that you can select sha2 signature and the certificate subject. Okay, again same thing, three application signature and three certificate subject name. Okay, that's the combination you can use. All right, once you have that configuration here, the next thing what you do, you go to your application profile, right? And in your application profile, you enable the driver, the WPF driver installation. Okay, so how do you get it? You get this option here, the WPF install WPF driver. This will be installed by ZCC, and once that is enabled, you would get an option to select the application bypass process you have configured. So you can select one and more. Okay, like here you can see I selected this application bypass process. So this is the way how you configured the application process based bypass, right? uh, okay, now we have a lab and the log. So yeah, that's it for this training. Okay, let's stop it here now, and I'll create a new video where we're going to discuss about where we're going to do a lab for it, right? And then we're going to review the logs for the application process bypass. I'm going to show you that how it works. We're going to create one particular application bypass, and then we're going to see whether it's working or not, right? So thank you very much for watching. I see you in next training. Thank you. Bye.